I've been stabbed, I've been beaten, I've been pistol whooped, and I've been left for dead by my boyfriend. And now I bring life to other women that have the same story. This is Janine Hall, and this is my story. I was born on the west side of Chicago on 22nd and Ridgeway in Rush Presbyterian St. Luke Hospital, May 25th, 1970. Grew up on the west side. I'm a west sider. I live with my mom. I live with my mother. She was a single parent, raising at the time just me and my oldest brother. I have 2 brothers. I'm the only girl, middle child. Me and my brother were all 6 years apart.
Okay, you're the middle child?
I'm the middle.
Okay.
I was always a happy-go-lucky kid, always smiling. I stayed in trouble because I used to crack jokes. I wanted to be the class clown. So I was always cracking jokes and making people laugh, and that's what kind of kid I was. Through high school, I just wanted to be in everything. I was on student council. I used to try out for the pom-pom team. Never made it, but that's...
What high school did you go to?
I went to Proviso East High School in Maywood.
Okay.
Go Pirates! I tried out for, they was called the Pirateers. That was like our pom-pom team. I tried out for that. And I ended up not making it, but at least I tried. I think I tried out twice in 2 different years of my high schools. I had the personality. I guess at the time I just didn't have the right moves.
Okay.
I've always been closer with my mother than my dad. Me and my mother was like best friends, like inseparable. Like wherever she went, I would go. She would take me like everywhere she went. So yeah, but my dad, he would try to be the best father to me that he can. I mean, it didn't work all the time. We stayed at it a lot. Me and my brothers, we are super close. They're like my 2 extra dads. So yeah, I literally got 3 dads.
Okay.
Party, I was a house head. I stayed at all the house parties. We went to the Bismarck. We used to go to the Bismarck all the time. We stayed at the warehouse. Me and my girls, we used to just, I'm a house head, even to this day. So all the house parties, we was there. What inspired me to write plays was I went one time to a play, me and my mom, and I just was like so in awe, like, the lighting and the stage presence and the props and the music, and it was just like, wow, like people are bringing this story to life. So I was like, I always wanted to be a playwright. So I've been writing plays for like the past 12 years. I've been writing plays. I started kind of late, but that's okay. I have written 8, but I only put on 2 so far. So far, all my plays have been sold out. Every play that I put on so far, so good. They all have been sold out. Purple. Purple is my favorite stage play because it's about my life. It's about my life. It's about the tragic events that happened to me when I was, going through domestic violence while I was living in Atlanta. So it's just bringing my story to life, kind of. I moved from Chicago in '95 and moved to Atlanta. Stayed there for 6 years. Me and my friends went down to Atlanta in '95. We went to the Freaknik, and we ended up liking it. And we was like, we going back. So we went back, different times, but we all eventually moved to Atlanta, and shoot, that was it. That Freaknik brought me down there.
So you left Chicago and you had so much fun in Atlanta where you wanted to go back.
I wanted to go back. I love Atlanta. When I went to Atlanta, I moved to Atlanta in October of '95, and I was there for only 1 week. Within a week, I got a job working at the Ramada Inn. I got a car. It was a Thunderbird coupe. I never forget that little old car, but it was cute. It was a Thunderbird coupe. So I went from, I got a job, I got an apartment, and I got a car, all in 1 week.
Wow.
And never looked back. So I went down there, got my first car, my second car, my third car. Went from apartment, I got my first apartment, and went from an apartment to living in a house. And so it was, I came up living in Atlanta.
Gas station?
Ended up working at a gas station. I was working at Circle K. I was like the manager of 3 different Circle K's in Riverdale, Georgia. And then I was like the manager of 3 stores. So it was kind of cool. I liked hiring people more than I liked firing. I didn't like that, but hey, I had to do it. Sorry, people. Hey. When I was down in Atlanta, no, I wasn't dating anybody. I was pretty much single, like the whole time I was down there. Yes, while I was working at Circle K, I ended up meeting someone. Well, when I was doing inventory at work one day, and I just, you just glance at people. So I just noticed like this guy walked in, and he was like short, about 5'7", 5'6", 5'7", dark skin, had a low haircut, real chocolate. Kind of handsome. I just like glanced at him and kept doing what I was doing. So yeah, and he ended up like staying in the store for a while, and it kind of not really made me nervous, but I'm kind of like, okay, this guy been in this store for over 10 minutes. What is he doing? So when he finally came to the counter, I said, "That's all you want?" He was like, "Yeah." I said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." And so then I was like, okay, so I'm ringing him up. And then while I'm ringing him up, he was like, like flirting with me. "Oh, you're so beautiful." Okay, thank you. And then he was asking me my name. I told him my name, and I asked him his. He gave me his name. And then I said, "You came in this store just to buy this and that's it? So you just came here?" He said, "Actually, I just came here just to flirt with you. Because I came in here earlier, because I didn't see him when he came in earlier. I must have been doing something." But he's like, "I came in here earlier, and I just wanted to come back because I just wanted to meet you." Okay. So we ended up talking and stuff. But when I got his number, I didn't call him for a while. So I had his number for a few months before I actually called him. I called him on Valentine's Day. And we talked from there. I asked him what he was doing. He ended up coming by my house, and the rest was history, to be honest. We actually started dating, but it wasn't like no real serious relationship, probably for like a month after. It was almost a month after I met him before we actually got serious. Because I was like looking at Circle K as like my career, so I was like a workaholic. I was at work all the time, so I kind of was focusing on my job more so than focusing on the relationship with him, to be honest with you. We dated for 3 years. For the first 2 years, it was actually good. For the first 2 years, it was really, really good. He wined me, dined me, We went everywhere together. We were inseparable. We always were together. And he was just like the nicest, sweetest guy for the first 2 years. And I really liked him. But I should have looked at it as a red flag, but it was too late then because I had already been dating him for a while. But he lied to me about his age. He actually had told me that he was 24 when I met him, but come to find out he was like 21. I was 28. I kind of actually was like, "You know what, don't worry about it. We've been together." I said, "It's too late now." That was my response. "It's too late now because I don't, we've been together all this time now, but it's okay." I said, "At least it ain't nothing that bad." I'm like looking at it like age. It's something I can get over. It's not nothing really major. At the time, it was like we had already been together for like 10 months, 9 or 10 months at the time. So I'm like, it's too late now. Things did still continue to flow smoothly. After 2 years, that third year, it was just, he went from being this real sweet, nice guy to just crazy. But what I found out now was he was on drugs. I didn't know that at the time. He was like doing cocaine. I didn't know that until later on when I, went to court against him. So that's when I found out, like later on, like years and years later. But I was just would wonder, like, what is wrong with this man? Because he went from, he'll be like super nice, and then in like 2.2 seconds, I thought maybe he was bipolar or something. I'm not trying to be funny or anything against people with bipolar, but I didn't know what was wrong with him, because he would be like real nice and cool, and then like the next second he'd just flare up and like take his shirt off and square up and make all these noises like he like was growling at the face and stuff. Like, what is wrong with this man? It was like really, it was scary. It was really, really scary, because we had got into an argument one day. So normally we'll get into an argument, like it'll be like okay, we argued but then like the next second or whatever, we'll be fine. We really didn't have like no real blow ups at each other. It would just be like something petty, like, you know what I mean? Like, really, you gonna leave the water running? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I say. Like, really gonna leave the water running? You're not gonna cut it off, and you about to leave out the door with the water running. It was like little simple stuff like that we would just get into arguments about, like, but it was nothing never major. But this one particular day, like the third year, we got into an argument. He just would not stop. He just was like getting madder and madder and madder, and I don't left it alone, but he's still like talking about it. Every time that I was at work, he would always like be jealous of my job, because work was like the only time that I had peace. Work was the only time that I was happy during that last year of that relationship. So he would always call my job and would always get me in trouble. And my supervisors would be like, Janine, he keep calling and he won't stop. It got to the point where he threatened supervisors, and I lost a lot of jobs because of him. That last year that I was with him, I lost a lot. I actually lost a real good job that I had because of him. Because he, would come up to the job and threaten my supervisors with bats and all type of crazy stuff. So it was just like, it just wouldn't stop with him. The first time he put hands on me, we were at the mall, and we were leaving out the mall. We got into an argument, and as soon as we got in the car, just out of nowhere, he just hit me right in my face. And like, I don't know if it was punching or, because I was kind of like looking towards the glass, like looking out the window, and all of a sudden I just felt like a hit in my face. And it was one of them, it was like a stop, like a shock, stunned moment. Like, did he just put his hands on me? It was like one of them type of things. Because I always was the type of person, like, I wish a guy would put his hands on me. I'm a But when it happens to you at that moment, it's like all that stuff you was saying just like go out the window. Because now you shocked and you stunned. Like, did he just really just... And it went to, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. I had to kind of like get myself together. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I had to process this whole situation. Like, did this man just really put hands on me? That day when we finally got home, he just apologized. You made me mad. You made me irritated. You provoked me. And I'm like, well, if I provoked you that bad, then, why don't you just take a few seconds? Why don't you walk away, or, go somewhere else, or, something, but you don't have to put your hands on me. I know I didn't. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I would never do it again. It was like one of those type of things. It happened like, it seemed like at least two or three times a week. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
What would spark his rage?
Any little thing would spark his rage. He would lose control over, like, if I came home and I didn't give him my check, I didn't get paid, or when I got, I did something with my check before I came home, or I would, tell him, shut up talking to me or something like that. He'll think that's disrespectful.
So when you get paid, you have to give money to him?
When I didn't have to give it to him, he would take my checks. Every time I got paid, he would literally meet me at my job and start a whole big old commotion and would snatch my money, like snatch my purse, take my money. He'll take out what he want and give me the rest. I was at work and he called my job. He had my car, one of my cars that I had, he had my car. So he called my job and I answered the phone like, hey, how you doing? Hey, babe. He was like, why you sound so happy? Let me find out that you messing around with somebody at the job. I'm gonna whoop your butt. Don't worry about it. Wait till you get home. I'll just work. I'm like, what are you talking about? And it was like a big argument that we having at work. And then my supervisor already told me that he'd be calling too much. So then now she hear me arguing with him on the phone. So she just got on the call. It was like, Janine, hang up the phone, call now. She's like, who is this? And he said his name. She was like, please stop calling here, because you're distracting her. She's trying to do her work. And then he was like, cussing her out. Who you think you talking to? B, you don't tell me what, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, don't worry about it. He said, I bet you won't be driving your car tomorrow. I said, what? I bet you won't be driving your car tomorrow. This man literally crashed my car. He was driving down the street, jumped out of my car, and let my car just go into like a little viaduct thing. It hit the viaduct thing, just hit it and just crashed. Like, I couldn't drive that because it was like everything was like, you know, crashed in. So he was the type of person that would do whatever he said he was going to do to me. He would do it the way that he said he was going to do it. So fear is what kept me around him for a long time. But like I said, but that day, when I got home, I took the train and we stayed. It's a train station in Atlanta called King Memorial. So I literally stayed like in an apartment building that's kind of like catty corner to the train station. So I was getting off the train. He didn't see me, but I saw him. But he was like calling my name and stuff, and I'm just like, cause I know, like I said, he was like, wait till you get home, wait till you get home. And then it was like the way he said, I just knew. I just felt it like any other day it'd be like a slap, you know, nothing major. But this one particular day, I just felt it in my soul that someone gonna be right. So what he did was he took out a gun and shot in the air, and everybody running. I just could, man, it's like out of a movie scene, because everybody running, you know, trying to take cover, make sure they're okay. And I'm saying to myself, where is the police, the MARTA police, when you need them? They're not here. So he came up to the train station and shot in the air at the train station, at the King Memorial train station, and people just running everywhere. And he finally seen me, and he grabbed me by my hair and dragged me down the escalator, like dragged me down the stairs. And when we got home, like, he didn't even wait till we get home. As soon as he was like dragging me down the stairs, he was dragging me by my hair. He was punching me, he was kicking me, he was doing everything, and he's steady dragging me. So I'm trying to get up and trying to get away from him, but he's steady, like, I'm running, he catching me, all types of stuff. I did not want to go and outside in public. He's doing this outside in public, and I'm just like, I don't want to go in that house with him, because I was trying to do everything to stop me from going in the house, because I was like, this man is gonna kill me. I just was like, that's what I had in my soul, like, this man is gonna kill me. So we went in the house, and as soon as we went in the house, he just like threw me on the ground and started kicking me and punching me all in my back and my ribs and everything. And he took out that gun and started pistol whipping me. And I'm trying to protect myself, and I got my hands over my, you know, my hands on my head, and he hit my hands. So now my hands all messed up because I'm trying to protect my head. He said, put your hands down and keep your hands down. If you put your hands down again, I'm gonna shoot you. So I'm like, man, I'm saying to myself, you might as well shoot me, because I'm already in pain from you hitting me with this gun. So if the gun, you know, if the shooting feel like this, you might as well just do it. It was like, at that point, I was like, just want to just give up, like, man, just die already. You know what I mean? Because that's what I felt was gonna happen. So it was like bad. So that was like one time, you know, that was one bad incident. And then there was another incident where he was pretending like he was sick. I was working at the post office. I forget about the post office. I worked down there. And it was like snow. Because, you know, Georgia don't get snow. When they do, it's like a blackout. You know what I mean? So he told me he was sick. So I'm like, well, I'll bring you something home from work when I get there. I said, what do you want? You know, so I went to stopped at the Walgreens, got some Theraflu, some Halls, all type of stuff, because he was coming down with a cold. So I thought. So when I got home, he had the covers pulled up over him. So I couldn't see what he had on. I didn't see anything under the covers because he had the covers pulled up over him. So as soon as I bent down and like give him a kiss, like, hey babe, how you doing? You okay? I had a 9 West boot. The boot, the heel was like real thick, and it was like super duper hard. Man, the only thing I knew, I remember seeing that shoe, and he like hit me in my head, and blood was like running down everywhere. And I was so bloody that I was trying to run and get away from him to run to our bathroom, but I kept slipping and sliding on my own blood trying to get away from him. So when I went into the bathroom, I'm trying to hurry up and close the door. So now we fighting with the door, and he just pushed it, like overpowered me, pushed the door. So I'm running backwards into the bathtub, because like the door, it was a little small bathroom, like the door, floor, the bathroom. So I just like fell over in the tub and stuff, and he was just beating me, man. He closed that door in that bathroom, like, so I couldn't scream, so couldn't nobody hear me. He just, you know, it was bad. So that was another time. We was at a picnic. I had on some shorts that he thought was too short. And he wanted me to go home and change clothes. And I'm like, no, this is what I want to wear. This is what I'm going to keep on. He like, no, you're not. You're not going to keep on nothing. So he threw a beer at me, threw alcohol at me, it was all running down my hair. And so we were yelling at each other back and forth in the jail. I'm like screaming at him, I'm not doing nothing here. I hope you rot in jail. And I'm going in, because like I said, I'm using this as a chance. Like, I got my protection now because I'm with the police. They gonna protect me and get me away from him. So they end up letting me cool down for a while. And I'm like in my nightgown. I don't have my hair all over my head. I don't have no shoes on. It's kind of cold because it's like in the middle of the morning. So I'm just like assed out, excuse my French, because I'm like, don't have on no coat or anything. So they let me sit. I sat for like a couple of hours just to cool down, and then they ended up like letting me out. But it was like, so I ended up getting out the next morning like around noon or something, but I ended up getting out. And then once I told them what happened, they literally, I told them about how I've been calling the police. So they looked it up. They saw that I was telling the truth. But they was like, why hasn't anything been done, now? And I'm like, because I was telling them, they were saying like I had to let the building managers get him out. And, they just wouldn't, like they wouldn't do that. Like they'd give him like a cool down period. And I was like, I thought maybe you guys supposed to hold people for at least like 72 hours or 48 hours or something like that. And then one of the officers was like, no, we kind of do things different down here in Georgia. I'm like, wow, okay, but if I was in Chicago, I'm saying to myself, if I was in Chicago, he probably would have went to jail for like 2 or 3 days or something like that. But yes, the reason why I did not leave him is because fear. I was very fearful of him because he was the type of person that would say, I'm gonna slash your tires. And you go outside, your tires are slashed. So whatever he said he was going to do, he would do. Like he would get mad because I would dress up at work. He put my clothes in the bathtub, bleached all my clothes, and burnt all my clothes. It got to the point where he would pick out my outfits for me in the morning and tell me what I was gonna wear. If we go outside and I stared at another guy, he would get mad and want to start fighting outside. So it got to the point where he would make me, like, when we get outside, like, look straight, like, don't look to the side, don't do this. And I just felt like I was in complete hell. So I just one day just got tired of being in fear. Because, like I say, you're not supposed to fear no man but God. And I just was like, got tired of him. So I went to work one day, and my supervisors, they knew something wasn't right with me. But I would lie. I burned myself, or I failed. Or just the typical classic lie that I would tell. Pretty sure a lot of women out there don't told them same lies. And I went to work, and I told my supervisor, I said, Miss Jackson, you guys all right? I said, you and Keith, all right. I have been getting abused, and I'm tired. So I said, my apartment is full. I don't care about nothing in that apartment. I just care about my life. I said, because this man has been pistol whipping me. This man has been stabbing me. This man has been burning my clothes. This man has just been doing everything to me. And I honestly believe if I stay, because my family is not here. My family is in Chicago, so I'm here by myself. So I would actually say, if I stay, this man is going to kill me. And I believe that. And I kept saying that. And I said, well, if I make enough money on my lunch break, I'm going to buy me a car and I'm moving to Chicago and I'm not coming back. And that's exactly what I did. I got my paycheck, and I got my paycheck was like $1,600. My bonus check was like close to $4,000, like $3,800 and some change. So I put both of them together, went and brought me a purple 96 Lumina. It was purple. 96 Lumina, and I drove all the way to Chicago. I did not look back. And so I didn't go back to get anything. I drove straight to Chicago from Atlanta to my mother's house. Mm-hmm.
What happened after that?
Well, I was there for probably like a month or so. I was there at my mom's house for like a month. He didn't know where I was, but I forgot that my mother used to send me FedEx like care packages. So I guess what he did was tore the address off the box. Got on a Greyhound. He ain't never been to Chicago a day in his life. He was born and raised in Atlanta, so that's all he knew. But he got on that Greyhound bus, got to Chicago, and he found me. I was walking down my mother's parking lot one day, and I just heard somebody say, Nina. I'm saying to myself, that cannot be him because he's in Georgia. You got that real thick southern accent. That cannot be him. So I kept walking. And I'm walking a little bit more, and I heard my name. It was like clearer. It seemed like the name was like, the sound was like right up on me. Because I'm like, Nina. I heard it again. I looked. I was like, oh, shit. And I just took off running. And I was running as fast as I can. Because I was already about to go in the house. So I had my keys in my hand. But it was like, I'm trying to get the key in the door. And I was like, I'm fumbling with the keys. The key kept falling. And it was crazy. So he ran and came up behind me. He was like, oh, so that's what you're doing, bitch. You just gonna leave me, huh? So he put a gun to my back and told me that if I don't go in my mother's house, and told her, he's like, I know you don't told your mother about me. No, you don't tell her all kind of stuff. So what you gonna do is you gonna go in this house and you gonna tell your mother that you lied about me. And if you don't, I'm gonna kill you and her. So at the time, I was like, I wasn't thinking about me. I didn't care because you almost don't kill me anyway with all the stuff you've been, doing through me, doing to me. So I was like, I didn't care really about myself. I just cared about my mother. So when I went in the house, my mother kind of was looking at me weird. I'm kind of like trying to get her to eye, you know what I mean, to let her know like, like something ain't right. But she was looking. I think she kind of caught on, but she just went along with it. I think after a while she kind of caught it. So I told her, I was like, Mom, I lied about him, and I was trying to do this to let her know he had a gun. And I was like pointing behind me, and I was like, without him seeing. So I had told my mother, I was like, Mom, I lied about him. He really not as bad as I said he was. This is my boyfriend, this, that, and the other. This who I'm staying in Atlanta with. And then she was like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, okay, hey, baby, how you doing? Come on in. You know what I mean? Because I think after a while she caught it. But she was like going along with it. So she was like, come on in. It's okay. Sit down. So then he just all of a sudden just like busted out, was like, took the gun and like showed it to me and my mother, showed it to my mother. He was like, okay, this is what's gonna happen. She finna go back to Atlanta. You not gonna do nothing about it. And that's it. And I don't want to talk about it. Because if any one of y'all say something, both of y'all gonna be dead today. So it was like, I'm looking like my mother looking at me, and I'm looking at her like, I'm just trying to do everything I can to like keep us safe. Because this fool, like I said, everything he say he would do it. And I really believe that he would have shot us dead in that house if we would have tried to do something or say something or whatever. So he go again with this gun, taking this gun out. You finna go back to Atlanta with me. I said, I'm not going back to Atlanta. You could go back on that Greyhound bus the way you came, but I'm not. Because it was like, at that time, I was like, I am not. He just going to shoot me today. I'm just going to have to die today. I don't care. Because it was just like, no, I don't want to be with you. And I'm like, I'm saying his name, and I'm like, why don't you get it? Why don't you get it? It's like no more us. It's over with. No, it ain't never over with. Till I say, if I can't have you, nobody would. Where do we hear that at? You know what I mean? If I can't have you, can't nobody would. But he was the type of person, he was crazy. He really did not want nobody else to have me. So we fighting again. And my mother had this knife that had like this little round, little rigid thing on it. He took that knife out that drawer, and I got like a mark right here on my neck that really still bothers me to this day. And he like pressed that knife up against my throat. And he's like, I'll cut your throat, B. And then he had the gun in the other hand, so he hit me with the gun. He got the knife. So I'm like, oh my God, this man like double bubbling with me today. So we got in the car, and we driving. So my mother, where she stayed in Berkeley, Illinois. And where she stayed, like the expressway was like right by her apartment complex. So we were right there. So we got on the expressway, and I'm saying to myself, oh God, my mother gonna come home. I'm not here. She probably finna flip out and everything. So at that time, text messages really wasn't a popular thing or nothing like that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna get messages to my mom, but we drove to Atlanta. It took us like 8 hours to get there. We drove to Atlanta.
What was that ride like?
That ride was really bumpy. I'm talking about it. The man was like punching me while I was driving, pulling my hair. He made me drive, pulling my hair, spitting in my face, would reach up and kick, like lean back, kick me all up in here while I'm driving. all type of stuff. That's how I ended up like my finger, because I got so mad at him. This how my Lumina gear shaft was shaped, and we got so mad at him till I was like, forget the brakes. I was just so angry at the time. I wasn't thinking to put on brakes to stop. I just grabbed my gear shaft with this hand, and I could hear my finger go pop, pop, pop. I can hear it, and I hadn't seen my finger yet. So I'm trying to stop with my gear shaft to stop my car. Duh, you have to stop with your brakes. You know what I mean? You got to stop with your brakes too, Janine. But I wasn't thinking like that at the time. I'm just trying to get away from him. I was just tired. And so he was like, keep driving this car. So as soon as we got to Atlanta, he was beating me so bad, and he had got out the car. See, that's where you made your mistake. He got out the car and he locked the door. I mean, he closed the door. So when he closed the door, I'm locking all the doors. So now he done found this big stick. Yeah, you finna get out this car. No, I'm not. So I'm locking him out. And he grabbed the stick and was like, bam, shattered my glass. Glass was all over me and stuff. So he drugged me out the car, and we fighting. It got so bad to his mother came outside and was helping me fight him. So now we fighting, me and his mother fighting him. So one of his aunts in the house called the police. Naturally, he run like a scaredy cat. You know, you could do all this stuff to people. Won't you stay and face up? You know, your punishment's what you did. You know what I mean? So he ran. It's like a couple of days later, I ended up staying with his mom for a couple of days. And I told her, I said, you know, I'm gonna go back to the apartment and get my important papers, like my birth certificate, my social security card. And I said, that's all I want. I don't want none of the clothes. I don't want none of this stuff. So she was like, you gonna be okay? Yeah, I think I'll be all right. You know, it should be cool. So I said, he probably over to Wanda's house anyway, because that was the girl he was cheating on me with. I said, he probably over her house anyway. So I went to the apartment. This was like a couple of days later. This was like literally like 3 days later. That was on like August, like the 15th. This was on like August, once like the 18th or 17th, something like that. But it was like maybe like 3 days later. And we was walking. I went in my apartment, and the way my apartment set up, like, you know, when you come through, we always use our back door. So when you come through the back door, you're coming through the kitchen, you're coming past the first bedroom, it's a bathroom, then it's my bedroom, like straight in front of me. So as soon as I walked past the bathroom, I just all of a sudden like felt a pressure on my neck that I've never felt before, and it was just like terrifying, because I'm trying to breathe, I can't breathe, then this force is getting harder. It was him. He had came out the bathroom, like literally I'm thinking he was not at the apartment, so he literally went to the apartment. I guess he sat and waited, because he probably knew eventually she probably is gonna try to come back here to get her stuff, because all her stuff is here. So which is what I did, and he just grabbed me, and we like fighting, and the force was so powerful that I literally like fell, and I'm trying to crawl to get away from him. So now we on like the edge of our bed. I'm on my knees, and he behind me on his knees, like choking me. And I can remember like fading in and out, in and out. And it's funny because this light that's in front of my face is like the light that I saw like while this was happening. It was like a light like this that was really, really bright. And it was like I kept like trying to get towards that light, but it was like I kept fading away. It was like the light was getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And the last thing I remember was, like the kids say, doing number 1 and number 2 on myself at the same time. My body doing its last waste at the same time. And I kept going in and out. So one time when I went out and I came back in like a little bit, it was like my vision was like real blurry, like I can see but I can't see. And I remember him getting up, and I saw him like going on the other side of the bed and just sitting on the bed, like looking at me. And then that was like the last thing I remember. And then I woke up, and I was like in an ambulance and stuff. So that was like the last thing I remember. And that day, like they say, I passed away and came back to life, and I'm here today.
Who called the ambulance?
I honestly do not know who called the ambulance. I don't know. I wish I did, because I would really like to thank that person today, because you saved my life, you know, but I don't know who it was that I can thank to say thank you. You saved my life. So I just say I owe it all to God. So after the hospital, ended up going back to Chicago. I was at home maybe for like a year or so, and I got a call from Columbus, Ohio, state's attorney's office, and they were asking me, what's my name? I was like, yeah, this is me. So they were saying that he was dating a girl down in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and ended up abusing her. She locked him up, but they knew they knew that she was going to drop the charges. So the case against me in Atlanta was still open. Because like I said, I had paper trails. So the case against me was still open. One of the cases was still open. And they asked me to come down there, to testify against him. And I did. Went down there, testified against him. They ended up giving him 15 years. So he served his 15 years. He started doing his 15 years like in 03 or 04 or something like that. But he's out now. So he got out July of this year. So he's out now. I ended up in the end telling my whole family what happened. My brother, his baby mom, I was staying with her for a while. And she ended up calling my brother to tell my brother what happened. And so at the time, he still to this day, he stays in Vegas. He's my oldest brother. And he came down to Atlanta with me, like to see what was going on. And my brother wanted to hurt him really bad. I'm glad he wasn't around because my brother is ex-Marine, and my brother do not play. So my brother, because he loved his sister, he just got love for his sister, and he just didn't want to see, me hurt no more. And then he was mad at me, which I understand because I never told him. I did not tell him because I didn't know what my brother might do, and I don't want nothing to happen to my brother. Him, I don't care about. But so yeah, he ended up coming down there with me and stuff. So I ended up going back home. My brother actually drove with me. He helped me drive. We drove back to Chicago, and like the rest is history. 4 years. It took me 4 years to start dating after that. Counseling was one thing I did not do. I never went to counseling. My poetry is my best therapy. My poetry was my best counseling because I would just write and write and write and write. And before I went to Atlanta, I would frequent like open mics all the time. But I would never get up and perform. But it was like once I came back, it was like redemption time. I'm back on the stage again. So it was like I was just tell stories about domestic violence and my poems, and I felt better the more I would write and release my feelings, because when the way I felt when I was writing those poems, that was the way I would deliver it on stage, and it felt like I was getting something like off my chest. And I felt like a whole lot better. Well, actually, when I was in Atlanta, I had called the domestic violence hotline. I'm not trying to say anything bad about the domestic violence hotline, but I don't like the experience that I had. I called the domestic violence hotline, and they were like, asked me like, what's my name? Like, are you somewhere safe that you can talk? Okay, that's fine. But they would like give me resources to call. Like they were asking me like, where am I? I'm like, I'm in Atlanta. Like, what part of Atlanta? Fulton County. So they would like, give me resource numbers. Like, okay, call. Okay, you got a pen, you got a paper. Call this number, call that number. And I'm writing down these different numbers. But I'm like telling the lady like, I need help now. I don't know, what to do. Is there somewhere you guys could take me now? But you would have to call certain shelters, and they would have to do like intakes and stuff like this. And just to see, was that still going on to this day? Like about a couple of months ago, a couple of friends that I do poetry with had found this young lady that was going through a domestic violence situation, and I'm trying to tell them to give me her information so I can help her out. But I had just as I was telling one of my friends about my experience with the domestic violence hotline, I said, wait a minute, watch this. And I called the number while she was there, and she was like, wow, no, they did not just do that. Yes, they did. I told you. So when I called the number, they was like, telling me to give them, they gave me different, they was like, where are you calling from? I said, I'm on Chicago. Where are you in Chicago? I'm on the west side. So they was giving me like different numbers to call, like 10 South Kedzie and, different numbers like that to call. And I was telling the lady, I already got these numbers. So she was like, well, a lot of shelters, like, I was like, some of the numbers that she gave me, I was calling them, really just calling the shelters just to see, what do you have to do to get into a shelter. So they would say, like, like one shelter, you couldn't have no kids. One shelter, you only can have kids. If you didn't have kids, you couldn't be there. Another shelter, like, was paying, like you have to pay because they're based on your income. I guess because they get paid by the state. They would say in the state, they're trying to take funding away. They don't have the funding for these shelters. So that's why a lot of these shelters are like closing and stuff like that, because they don't have the funding. And so I'm like, wow. So it was just like, they were like, how the person called me and stuff like that. So it was just, it was intense. It was real intense. Yeah. Actually, it did inspire me to start my own program. It is called Purple Pieces. And what we do is, like, I have like 7 friends. We all work together as a team. Like, we provide people with food, clothing, shelter. Like, one of my friends owns an apartment building, so he always having like empty apartments, empty houses or whatever. And we go get people. And to this day, we don't save a few people. And the people that we saved, we keep up with them to this day. So we still make sure they okay. All of them are doing wonderful, I might add. They did not go back. They got good jobs. They done moved on with their life. Their whole appearance just look different. They just wearing happy, like real good to this day. So we have saved like men and women, because men go through domestic violence just as well as women do, and they act just like we act. They're scared, they're terrified, they're too ashamed because it's like the macho thing. And one of the guys that we saved, his girlfriend used to like stab him as a sport. Like, she just used to stab him randomly, like every day. Like, lady, this is not like a dark game. This is somebody's life that you poking at and prying with and everything. So to this day, we saved the people. And like, I have a friend that owns a shelter. Her shelter is like, funded by the state. So, sometimes she has, to have people that come there, based on their income, they have to pay. But then sometimes she's like, based on her heart, because she went through it as a domestic violence survivor herself. So she helps people as much as she can. And like I said, we work together as a team to try to get people out of that situation. Because when you on the phone, you don't have time to get no pen, no paper, write down no numbers. You don't have time for that. And I found out, which is kind of cool, that if you have a cell phone that's not working, you can still call 911 on it. I didn't know that until I went through until I went through a situation in Atlanta, and I was in a closet, and I'm like, I don't know what made me press it, but I just was like, 911. And I'm like, they like, hello? Whoa, they answering. Hi, how you doing? This is, trying to whisper in a closet, and they came. You know what I mean? They came. So I felt like protected, like, whoa, they really came, And so you guys can contact me. I'm on Facebook under Janine, Janine, Nina, Nina Hall, Janine Nina Hall. On Instagram, Janine Hall 42. Just contact me. As soon as you contact me, me and my friends gonna get the ball rolling. We're gonna get you out of that situation. We're not gonna even give you a chance to change your mind. We're gonna get you out of that situation and get you to somewhere safe, so you can be safe and starting to be happy. Because it's like, once you get out of domestic violence, your body know you free. Your body know, I'm not going back there no more. I can't take this no more. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna keep letting nobody, because once somebody have your power, then they got control over your life. And once you decide to get away and your body know you free, now you can start getting your power back. You can start getting your control back. You can start controlling your life. And not be brainwashed anymore, because that's where the battered women syndrome, like they say, battered women syndrome, that's when that comes in, because now you have to like recondition your mind to not be brainwashed anymore, to kind of think back to the way you was. You got to get back to your normal self, because you've been brainwashed for so long. That abusers, that's what they do. They brainwash you. They make you think that don't nobody else want you. They the only ones that want you. You ugly, you fat. They tell you what to wear. They dictate your life, what to eat, what to think. Don't look at this man, this, that, and the other. So you have to literally like get your, like I said, get your power back. And once you like your mind is like conditioned to hey, that's not me. And then they start making you, get away from your family and your friends and stuff. So people, if you know somebody's in a domestic violence situation and they're not contacting you or they're not reaching out to you or something like that, it's because that's what that man, or that's what, for guys, that's what that lady is, making them do. Like getting them, isolating them from their family, because once they got you away from their family, like I didn't have family in Atlanta. I had my brother's baby mom. She was like the closest family that I had, and she did everything she can. I just want to shout out to her because she did everything she can to protect me. They get you away from your family, that's when they can really start abusing you or start hurting you, because who finna help you? Ain't nobody gonna help you. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Someone that's experiencing domestic violence, start your paper trail, call the police, even if they don't help you, whatever, just keep it on file, on record that you call. Get you a separate bank account, get you like an emergency, like stash of money, but call somebody, tell somebody, don't sit in silence, call somebody, because if you sitting in silence, then you never know, that could be your last day sitting in silence. Call somebody, tell somebody, don't let him know all your friends or all your locations of people, your family members and stuff. Go to that person's house that he don't know where you would be and get away and call somebody and let them know, what you're going on, because you got to get your power back. Because like I said, once somebody have your power and they got control, they got like your life in their hands. You just need to just like get away. Call. Don't be fearful, don't be scared of nobody, because that's what kept me in my situation, because I was so scared. Because if he say he would slap me on June 13th, he gonna slap me in the way he said on June 13th. So fear is what kept me there, and I knew that I needed to get away, but fear is what kept me there. So if you can, like I said, I gave you guys my information, you could contact me, but just get away, get out of it. And people need to know that it's not just physical that's domestic violence. It's not just physical. It's different forms of domestic violence. It's not always physical. It could be financial, it could be emotional, it could be spiritual, it could be verbal. It could be, years that I was with this man for so many years, I don't want to leave. And another thing, ladies, what we do is we mistake love for lust. Sometimes some of us are probably in the kind of relationships right now where you really think you love somebody that you're with. You don't love that person. You're just lusting after that person. If you really love somebody, love, first of all, is not supposed to hurt. Love is not supposed to be no bloody shirts, no hospital visits, no black eyes, no stitches, none of that. If you really love somebody, when you love somebody, it's like a feeling that you just cannot explain. It's like a feeling that when you love somebody. So, man, just get away, contact somebody, and be strong. Be a survivor. And like I said, you guys can contact my information. I will help you get away. I do travel. I will come and get you. I don't care if you're in New York, Timbuktu, we will come and get you. So if you need my help, I'm here. I'm a survivor.